guys, I just wanted to come on here to say hello. Current time, it is December 21st. So over the next couple days for me, you guys, we should all be caught up on the days of Vlogmas that I missed. I've been dealing with some mental health issues, I guess. Just a lot of overwhelm. Kind of a blah feeling. I don't want to people as much at the moment. I don't know. Granted, on one hand, as a mom, Christmas time is, a great time of year. On the other hand, the Christmas season is when I've lost a lot of family members in my life. And it's hard to go through the holidays without them. So, on Christmas Eve, we don't go to families or anything like that. Granted, nobody does anything, but my cousin Gina passed away from cancer at 25 years old on Christmas Eve, about 7 years ago, which is so crazy to think. Who knows where her life would be now, and I feel like she wasn't really given the chance to live, so that's really hard for me. And then actually a couple years before that, it would have been, I think it was about 9 years ago now, because it was the first Christmas Eve that my husband and I were together. My grandma had passed away. So I'm pretty sure it was on Christmas Eve. Yeah, so Christmas Eve is hard. Makes Christmas hard. So please bear with me. I tend to deal with grief and uncomfortable feelings with horrendous humor, which I think is hilarious, but not everybody feels the same. I can be a lot more awkward. I can be a lot more quiet. So, I don't want to do anything that I'm supposed to be doing right now, which is a bit of the problem. I have a cardigan that started where all I have to do is finish the ribbing and then start both of the sleeves and add them on. And it's in burlap blanket, so it will go fast. What I have done, which is the entire body of it and most of the ribbing, took me 2 days to do. I think I just went through the third skein of Bernat. I'm not mistaken. I haven't really touched too much of the stocking that I was supposed to have done 3 weeks ago. So now I'm kind of overwhelmed with the fact of how overdue it is. I don't want to admit to the person that I'm struggling with it. And it's not a pride thing, crochet wise. It's just, I don't like letting people down, which it's not like this doesn't let somebody down, but it's I don't have to go through it, I guess. I don't even know how to explain that. But I'm about halfway done with the first one. But because I am crocheting an originally knit stocking, it's really lit a fire under my ass to learn how to knit. So that way I can make things like this. There have been a handful of times that I have been asked to crochet a version of something that was knitted. And it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look bad, like, in its own right. But when you have it compared to the knitted version, it's very obvious that the knitted version was the original and is probably better in their mind of what they were looking for. So, whichever. That being said, you may have seen in my last video that I bought a set of circular needles. And that I had used this yarn, which is, I guessed when I was talking about it on video. So it's Lion's Pride wool spun. It's Lion brand yarns. It's 80% acrylic, 20% wool. It says it's a bulky number 5. It recommends using a 6.5mm needle, which maybe I should have looked at that. I know better with crochet, so I was using an 8mm needle and following the Knit Beanie tutorial by Passionate Kelsey on YouTube. Super, super, super easy tutorial. I've never knitted anything before, realistically, in my life. And I finished a whole damn hat. Like, I finished it. So I wanted to try it again using the same needles, but a thicker yarn. I just want to make sure that there's not anything else on this ball band. Huh. Oh, okay, so this color, the hat that I made, it's City Lights Mix is what it's called. So this is what the ball band looks like. I have had this yarn for a long, long time. It was probably given to me for free at some point. And what I didn't know is that I actually have another skein of this. So if I had known that, I might have double stranded. Anyway, so I finished that one, and I could have crocheted today, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I just really want to try again. I want to make another beanie. So I grabbed this skein of Woolies Thick and Quick in this, like, brown tweed color. It's Barley is the actual color name. Ooh. Machine washable and dryable. That's nice. This says to use 9mm needles. So now the needles that I'm using are actually a little too small for what it's recommending. But in the grand scheme of things, I think that my tension with knitting right now is very, very loose. So I think that it's okay to size down. This is a 6 super bulky weight yarn. It is 82% acrylic, 10% wool, and 8% rayon. There are 160 yards in this 6-ounce ball. And I'm about this far through it. I fit my hand around it almost. Passionate Kelsey does the, was it long tail cast on, which is really easy. And this is where I am. So it's got a lot of stretch to it, which is really nice. This looks way better. You know, it's a lot more firm, but still not like too firm. Like the first one was very, very loose, but this one seems a lot better. Same thing, I'm not doing a folded brim. I personally do not like folded brim hats. If you guys like seriously disagree with that and you think that folded brim hats are way better sellers in your opinion or are way more preferred to you or those you know, like, please let me know, because I don't necessarily want to bury myself by only making beanies. Like, beanies with pom-poms, beanies without, whatever, if they're not really the ones that are selling. I don't know. If you guys have suggestions, please let me know. But I just wanted to say hi, realistically, and I wanted to show you a little bit of my knitting. Do I get to say that I'm a knitter now? Am I bi-stitchable? How many projects do I have to complete to say that I'm a knitter? And what if I only know how to knit on circular needles? I don't know, guys. Let me know. The only thing that I know how to knit are hats at the moment, but we'll learn more. It's been like 2 days. But I really, something that I am struggling with is I am having to use my copper fit glove off and on. I am having hand pain and pain up my arm occasionally because, if you were not aware, I crochet with a pencil hold, right? Well, I have to knit with a knife hold. So my hand and my arm and my muscles are very much not used to this, and they're yelling at me. So I'm trying to just kind of take it easy, you know, do a couple rows here and there, do something else, do a couple rows, do something else. So I took the time today to just kind of catch up on some YouTube videos, and I did a lot of editing on videos today, so I was able to get 3 Vlogmas videos edited and thumbnails done and loaded in the queue to post over the next few days, and like able to clean up some space on my phone because I have 5 gigabytes of storage space. I even removed an entire folder of videos only of my child to my computer, so that way I had space for videos for YouTube. And I still only have like 10 gigs of open space. I don't really want to have to buy a camera, guys. I don't. And a camera wouldn't work with my phone stand anyways, like my tripod. Yeah, either way. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. I'm going to give you a different angle and you can see how I knit. Okay. I'll talk to you later, guys. Okay, something that I forgot that I wanted to talk about earlier. I got a planner, a nice thick planner that I could write in for markets for next year. Because I found, so I buy the Where Are You Going Next craft show complete list or whatever, and it gets updated every week. I have Pennsylvania and Ohio for sure, and then a whole bunch of other states surrounding Pennsylvania. And I've only looked through Pennsylvania and Ohio so far at dates, but I've sent out so many emails already. I did get an email back for a show that was going to be in Akron, Ohio, And then they're like, oh, it's going to be $1,000 and some for a booth space. I'm like, what? Excuse me? No, no thanks. I'm like, oh, thanks for the information. I'm like, well, if it's any easier, we have a table space for $550. I'm like, no, no. That's more than I've paid for any event I've ever done. For a small space. Can't do it. Can't bring myself to do that. So, things that I have coming up. So in January, it is my, hang on. That's a little better. My younger son has a birthday in January, so we'll have a birthday party. Then on January 19th, I'm actually going to set up at a reptile expo. This is the second time that I have set up at a reptile expo, but this time I'm going to be a little more prepared with it. The last time I did it, I hardly had any toys at all. I just wasn't making many. That was not what I wanted to do. But now I can crochet, like, I make the crochet version of all these cool animals. Like, I have snakes, I have axolotls, I have turtles, I have spiders, I have hedgehogs and octopi and frogs. So, like, I have a lot of these animals that would be found at a reptile expo, including mice and rats. So, I think that that could be really good for me because then, you know, parents can take their kids and maybe they want to take them to look but not necessarily buy. And in this way, they can just buy the cute crochet toy for less than the real deal. Then, if you are familiar with Groundhog's Day, February 2nd, right? With Punxsutawney Phil, who goes out and sees if he sees his shadow, and depending on what he sees or not, it's 6 more weeks of winter or not. So I only live an hour and a half for Punxsutawney, and there's a big festival that happens that brings in thousands of people. So I am aiming to do the Punxsutawney Groundhog Day celebration, which is January 31st, February 1st, and February 2nd. So it's 3 days. It's $125 for those 3 days. And it brings in 25,000 people, which you don't get things like that very often in February. So I'm going for it. I'll make more at that than I will at any VFW craft show, any spring craft show at a school. Like, all of those, they're just not super profitable. I will do them, but they're not very profitable. So that's my first on my agenda. Then we get into February, and I am looking at, funny enough, a Valentine's, like, it's the weekend before Valentine's Day, a craft show at a VFW. It's local, but at this, other than the Groundhog's Day celebration, there aren't any other events happening in February that I could really aim for. The one in Akron was way too expensive. Then, let's see, what was the 9th again? I have them initialed in the calendar part. Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the other one was a great big garden and home, like home show with crafts, and it was in Cleveland, Ohio. But it was literally 10 days long, and I can't disappear for 10 days. And that's also starting on January 31st. I don't have the product to sell to 275,000 people. Yeah. That's twice the amount of people that came to Applefest, which that was 100,000 people. And this year, my friend and I cleared $5,000 from that. So to have more than twice the amount of people, I would need more than twice the amount of inventory. I don't have 10K in inventory. I don't have 5K in inventory right now. So that just wouldn't be sensible. But it is only $125 for a 10-foot space, I'm pretty sure. These, like, garden and home shows are tricky, the way that their pricing works out. Like, it's not super clear. So we didn't do that. We're not doing that. Then you get to the end of February, and there was the idea of a Philadelphia flower show. Philly is a good, like, 6 hours from me. That's also, like, a 10-day event. Can't do it. It's also $650 to do it. Can't do that. you get into March, and there are 2 shows on March 1st that are like to be announced. They're both the very, very small things. Then you get to the 15th. Okay. So there are 2 shows on the 15th. One is at a church, and the other supports the Little League, like the baseball team. So also another small show. I don't have anything else to do, so maybe. Then you get to the 21st, and okay. So the 21st, there's a 2-day show, about 45 minutes one way for me, and I've heard good things about that show. And then the Saturday, that's the 22nd, there's a spring elementary school craft show that I did last year, or I guess earlier this year, and it did pretty well. You know, it brought in a few $100, almost $400. Pretty good for a spring show, for sure. So it's kind of like, do I give up the one that I know that I did well at to try to do better at a different one? Because that's also the thing between a 1-day show versus a 2-day show. But the 2-day show, it is inside. It's a little bit more, but not much. And the spaces are 8 by 10 as opposed to the other one. They literally gave us an 8-foot table. The table was pushed against the wall in the hallway of the school, and we had to sit in chairs on the end of the table. It was very strange. So maybe that one. Then you get to the very end of March on the 28th. We have the Pittsburgh Spring Fever Festival, which it has 13,000 people at it, which isn't amazing, but it's better than the school craft shows or the church craft shows that might have 1,000 people show up. But it's $370 for this space. And it's the 28th, 29th, and 30th. So it's a 3-day event. Inside 10 by 10 for $370. I pay the same amount for the same amount of days for the same size space, but it's outside. And there's 100,000 people as opposed to 13. So maybe, possibly. But at the same time, there's really nothing else happening in March. So I don't have a whole lot of choices here, to be honest. Then we get into April. There's the Pennsylvania Maple Festival. Outside, 9 by 9 space, which is kind of weird. $175 for 18,000 people going. But that is from the 9th until the 13th, so that's a lot of days for only 18,000 people. Then we have April 12th. In Erie, there's the spring version of... So I do the Erie Gifts and Crafts Festival in November and do really, really well. This year, I made almost $1,000 at the 2-day, the 2-day event. Last year, I made $1,000. So it was weird. It was weird that it was lower because that's just not been my experience with all the other shows this year. But they have a spring version of it. It never does as well. So that's my concern. It's the same price for the same size for less people. So I don't think I want to try that one. Then there's one in Pittsburgh the same day, April 12th. It's a 10 by 10 outside, handmade only, $25 jury fee, 75,000 people in attendance, but it's $495, which is a lot. That's over $100 more than I've ever spent on an event. But it is a 2-dayer. So maybe, possibly, now, looking for the 26th. Yeah, and then the next ones are April 26th, and they're both small events. So not really worth it. So my first, big event of the year that I'm repeating from last year is May Garden Mart. They let me crochet plants, which allowed me to sell. It's like $65 to do it. Let me see. Okay. So it's a 10 by 10 outside space for $65. This is like 15 minutes from my house. So that's exciting. I was pretty much the only craft vendor there. Everybody else had like not road signs, like outside yard decor, plants, like yard furniture. There was 4-H there with goats, stuff like that. And then there's little old me with crochet goodies. And I think I made $1,300 that weekend. So hell to the yes. I will be doing that again so long as they let me. Well worth it. Definitely a great market. So that's like the big one for May. Then what are the other options in May? I know this is probably getting boring. I'm going to stop after May just so that we know. Then there's a multi-day apple dumpling festival. It's 3 days in Sinking Springs, PA. It's 5 hours for me, which is a lot. But it's $100 for an outside 10 by 10 space for 25,000 people. So that could be an option. Then on May 10th, you have the second Saturday community market, which I'm not super interested in that. It is local, but I don't know. Community markets, farmers markets, stuff like that don't do as well as I would want. Then we have one on May 15th. It is the Fine Arts Fiesta. It's the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. If I didn't say it, it's 4 hours for me. Handmade only. It's $200 for a booth space for 50,000 people. So that's better than nothing for sure. Then you have the 16th. You have Springfest in the Berg, Miami's Berg, Ohio. It's $100 for 20,000 people. That's a 3-day event. That same day, you have the Downtown Edinburgh Art and Music Festival. That also is a 3-day event. Then the 17th is that Saturday. You have the Delaware Arts Festival. It's 3.5 hours for me, so way better. 10 by 10 outside space, $225 for the booth, 30,000 people, handmade only. Now, this one I'm not sure about because in July, I do the Waterfire Festival down in Sharon, and that event has 30,000 people. That event I made $1,800 at this year, which is amazing, okay? But I only paid $80 for the space. And that's about an hour from me. And that's in 1 day, where this is a 2-day. So, if I don't have anything else going on, sure. Because realistically, when I think about it, $1,800 in a weekend, whether it's 1 day or 2 days, $900 a day, is pretty damn great. Don't think that I'm being ungrateful or picky. It's the fact that this year, I busted my ass at markets. The last count, I had done over 27 markets. By now, I know that I've done more than 30. And that's just the individual event. That doesn't count how many days are in each event. So, like, if I did an event that had 1 day in it, I counted it as one event. If a different event had 5 days in it, I still counted it as one event. So I have done way more than 30 days of markets. And I want to be more selective on the markets that I'm doing and do less of these small ones that are only getting me a couple hundred or a few $100s here and there, like every weekend, and try to aim more for doing 1 or 2 really big events throughout the year so that, I have more time to prep in between. I, in turn, have more time with my family. I have more time with my husband, who's only off on Saturdays. So I missed out on a lot of time with him this year because I was doing markets while he was home. So I would like to try to find events that I'm going to be making the same amount of money for a lot less time away from home. So that's my goal in the long run. On that same day, there's a small event. And then we're jumping to the 23rd. This was one that I sent an email about. It's in Chillicothe, Ohio. Please phonetically correct me in the comments if you know how to spell that. It's Feast of the Flowering Moon. It's a 10 by 10 outside space for $150. It's the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. So it's a 3-day event. 80,000 people in attendance. And it's 4.5 hours from my house. So I could get a room somewhere and stay the 3 days and sell to 85,000 people and do well. I hope. The next day you have, sorry, the Old Fashioned Ice Cream Festival in Utica, Ohio. It's 3.5 hours for me. It is a 3-day event. $120 for 25,000 people. 25,000 people across 3 days isn't super great. If it was 1 day, that'd be amazing. Then you have the Arts Fest of Greater Harrisburg. That's also 3 days. It's 4 hours for me. That's $270 for 40,000 people. So that's better. 40,000 people across 3 days. But not, like, great. Then you have the Freiburg Mayfest. That is only on May 24th. And it's $25 for it. But it doesn't tell you how many people are in attendance. I just have it written down because it was kind of local. And then we're on Memorial Day, and we have the Boalsburg Memorial Day Festival. 15 by 10 space outside, $100, 25,000 people for 1 day. That's what I'm aiming for. Handmade only, and it's only 2.5 hours from my house. So like stuff like that, that's what I'm going for. I would rather be there fewer days. Then May 28th, there's the Erie Wild Rib Cook-Off and Music Fest, which I wanted to get into, but I didn't realize that it was literally multiple days long. Because it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there's 4 days. Five days? No. It's from 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. So it's a 4-day thing. $250 for 55,000 people. 55,000 people is great. But when you spread it across 4 days, it's not as great. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Then we get into May 31st. They're talking about the Hocking Hills Spring Craft Show. Now, the Hocking Hills Fall Craft Shows always do really, really amazing. I've heard it's out towards Columbus, I think. The Facebook event at this moment shows 8,000 people is interested. I think this is the first time that they're doing the spring show, so they don't really know how many people to expect. But I don't know. That's only a 2-dayer. I don't know how much it costs to be there or anything. So maybe. Oh, June 1st. I messaged about this one. The Mammoth Fest. It's in Mount Pleasant, PA. 15,000 people for $40. 1 day. And 15, not 50. 10 by 10 space. 2.5 hours from my house. Like, that would be a really good one to just kind of throw in. So, and then I want to try to get back into the Ashtabula Pride event in June. I want to go back to Duran Down Home Days in June. On June 19th, I would like to do Jubilee Days. And then there was something at the end. I can't remember what all of my abbreviations are. Oh, that's right. Wait, no, that's not it. Okay, so the choices that I had messaged about. Oh, I didn't message about that one. Hang on. Okay, June 28th and 29th, there is the Crosby Festival of the Arts in Toledo, Ohio. It's 4 hours for me. It's handmade only. A 10 by 10 outside space for $275. But 200,000 people come through at that event. That's one that I want to get into 100%. So I did put emails out to all of those. That's the first 6 months of 2025 that I want to aim for. There's a lot of really big things going on for the rest of the year. You know, July, that's when my birthday is. That's when my husband's birthday is. We have the water fire event, the 4th of July, and we celebrate 4th of July on Saturday. So the 5th, there's a big 4th of July celebration going on Friday the 4th that I want to try to get into. There was I had some interest in Waterford Heritage Days, but I don't know. Water fire is fantastic. Like, those are all just, it's just really cool. And then what is it? It's a whiskey something. It's a whiskey festival. Am I not looking in the right place? I am. Okay, it's the Whiskey Rebellion Festival. It's on July 12th. That's it. Yeah. $100. 22,000 people. Yeah. I would like to try. That's for sure. Like, and then you got Dan Rice Days coming up. I wouldn't mind getting into something like that. I want to get into Celebrate Erie this year. I need to find an employee, actually. I need to find an employee who I can occasionally pay to set up my booth and all of my stuff and sit there and sell my stuff. Because the crochet retreat this coming year, will be falling on my September water fire event. And that event is good enough that I don't want to miss it, but I also will not be missing my crochet retreat. And the date's already set for both, so I need to find somebody who's willing to sell my stuff for me. Probably based on a commission. But either way, guys, it is 3:30 in the morning. So I'm gonna get off of here. I'm sorry for boring the fuck out of you. Good night. Okay guys, I'm editing this one video that should be going up later. There's Rowan in the back. There's Archer. Here's my husband. YouTube famous. Let's go.
No, it's me.
I didn't do an outro for this, so it's ending on me knitting in the car and featuring my brother's cat, and I will get you a market day video tomorrow. So see you tomorrow guys. Bye.